All right. I have been playing around with Admiral Trench for a while now. I've been playing around with a lot of stuff, and I've really been trying to figure out how to fi- figure out Trench's purpose. Figure out if there's a way to make him not be a bad leader, and really try to see if there's any hope for him. Now, unfortunately, I mean, we don't really technically know what the set 4 meta exactly is going to look like yet, but we have some strong ideas. And likely, anything that's not Django or Mono Yellow Han is honestly gonna be pretty close to the same boat as Trench, because that's how bad I feel like that is in a lot of cases. I mean, there's some other stuff that's pretty alright. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but really, it's a very difficult time to try anything that's not those two decks. But like I said, I have been playing a lot of Admiral Trench, and I found some stuff, and I just wanted to share with you all some of the ideas I've had and just what I've discovered playing around. So first, I'm going to show you this self-mill control list that I have here. One of the first things I thought about with Trench was, yeah, playing him with the Colossus base, because when you can deploy your leader and your leader kind of draws you a card, that can make up for also Admiral Trench's just leader ability, letting you discard a card from your hand that costs 3 or more to draw a card, so you can filter into cards that are more important in the early game if you need to. If you need to try to get your Merciless Contests or your Power of the Dark Sides, you can fish for them faster. And also, since you're in yellow, you can get your stuff back with Bounty Hunter Crew. So pretty cool. And so there's some different stuff here than normal, like, villainy yellow blue hard control that you wouldn't have otherwise. What's pretty interesting is you can mill yourself out really fast with this deck. Like, you can, with deploying Trench, obviously not really in this current meta, you just actually die before the 6th resource. But theoretically, pretending you're not playing against DJ or, Django and War Juggernauts, you mill yourself out pretty fast. And what's cool is, so we're playing 2 copies of Restock in here. If there was a meta for it, you could potentially even play a tech in here and then just resource your tech and your restock and then just mill yourself out, and then bring out tech and restock to fill yourself back up. And why would you want to mill yourself out? Well, if you mill yourself out and then you start looping restocks, then you're basically drawing exactly what you want every turn. So yeah, if you just get into the late game pretty fast, and then you can just keep putting Avengers back on top of your deck. You can, after you've sided, you can keep putting Annihilators back on top of your deck. Obviously, that is so insanely grindy and not very realistic in this meta at all, but it's pretty cool. And what you'll see in this list is, you'll notice that it's very unit-based, actually. I have lots of units. Got Inferno 4, Dr. Pershing, Bazine, and lots of Sentinels, actually. We got 3 Pike Sentinel, we got 3 Contracted Jump Master, we've got 2 of the Frontier AT-AT vehicle, and then we've got, the standard big stuff, the triple Snoke, triple Super Laser Blast, triple Avenger, triple No Glory, triple Vigilance, triple Takedown. I've also got 2 Lom Pikes in here. Just the Bazine and the Lom Pikes are kind of insurance against discard, especially with us starting with 1 card less with Colossus, so kind of a way to have more cards. And then I Am Your Father's in here at 2. This could possibly go to 3, because you want to draw a bunch of cards to make up for Colossus, and you also want to just get to the end of your deck faster. I also have Perilous Position and Grievous in here, and part of that is because with the Pike Sentinel, with Grievous, with Perilous Position and Takedown, you're really just, you're trying to not get DJ'd so hard. And so by playing some of these cards in the ground arena, it can help you to either de-incentivize them from playing DJ or just kill a DJ. And what's really crazy in this, I have played a decent amount of games with this. The Sentinels were really important, especially like just sometimes you even with a 35 HP base, sometimes you get down to it and you're like gonna die. I had a game where I was at, I think, 32 damage on my base, and they used Commandeer to take my contracted Jump Master, and they had a big Falcon, and I was able to play a Vigilance to heal for 5, so I didn't die to the Falcon, but they put me to 34, but then I had initiative, so then I played I can't even remember, but I just basically played Sentinels. I was able to play Contracted Jump Master out again, they killed it, I Vigilance again, I put a Sentinel in space, put a Sentinel in the ground, and I'm deploying Trench, and it was crazy. It was crazy. It's a pretty wild deck. It'll kind of melt your mind to trying to play it, but this is just an interesting idea, right? It's not a real deck. You're not actually going to be able to play this and do really well at actual tournaments, but just wanted to put this out there so we can all start brainstorming together. Okay. What is next? What is next is I did Admiral Trench with the Data Vault, and I think one of the obvious things that people probably thought about with Admiral Trench is being able to play Palpatine's Return or the new Salvage card. That's definitely what I thought about first, because with his leader side, being able to discard Maul and Vader, and then you can Palpatine's Return them back soon, you know, that's really cool. But what's really awkward is because Trench doesn't deploy until 6, and you have to also pay to deploy him. So, I mean, and that's when you would use Palpatine's Return, so it's really awkward. And so at first, this started out with me trying to use like triple Bib Fortuna so that I could actually use Palpatine's Return on the 5 resource, and then I could still deploy Trench on the 6 resource. But the more and more I was trying stuff out, the more I realized that, sure, probably someday, or I mean, you could probably still make a Palpatine's Return Trench list. But I think that they were really trying to do exploit stuff, and that's really it. And so what I reoriented my deck building to was going to the Sandhill Motti Admiral Trench unit combo, which, if you don't know, if you have a board set up a certain way and you're on the 7 resources, you can potentially attack your opponent in the base infinite times with Admiral Motti, Sandhill, and 2 Admiral Trench cards. Now, you would need one of those Admiral Trenches to already be on the board, and then you would also need a bunch of like droids or something that you can exploit, or you can have them die. But with that, you would be able to attack infinitely. But here's the thing. Even though that's a really cute combo, you don't have to attack infinitely to win. You can just do normal game things, and it turns out that with the Separatist Super Tank over here, if you don't know, this is a 9-cost 8/8 unit that has Exploit 3, and it's a vehicle. If you just, you have enough units on the board, you can, for 5 resources, essentially play a readied Separatist Super Tank by playing an Admiral Motti and then exploiting 3 units, one of them being Admiral Motti, and then the Separatist Super Tank is ready, and then you can just suddenly hit your opponent's base for 8. And I've done that a bunch in this deck. And it's really fun. It's a super fun deck. I really encourage anybody who is up for a challenge in piloting, and even just a challenge in continuing to try to refine this list. It's really fun. It's very fun. to do this. This is the most recent. Well, this is the 60. This is the 60 card combo, right? Because I did Data Vault because I'm like, hey, if Trench is going to be milling a bunch, I can have 3 more HP, right? And that'll be fine. And it works, and it's fine. But before I talk more about it, let's switch to the 50 card version. All right. There's not too much different here. Over here, we're able to fit in some Sentinels and some Waylays and a couple extra big vehicles. But over in the 50 card version here, we've got our turn 1 plays. We're not ever actually playing Motti turn 1. We've got our turn 1 plays in Confederate Courier, Kijimi Patrollers, Poggle, and Droid Deployment. I also have In Debt to Crimson Dawn in here too. My apologies. I don't really have time to edit, so hopefully I got that muted and you're still here. I knew I should have just brought Bobby in the room first. I knew I should have done it, but I didn't. My apologies. So I have In Debt to Crimson Dawn in here as like a bonus turn 1 play because Trench deploys so late and this deck is a bit slow. You can suddenly kill your opponent, but it is a bit slow. And anything you can do to save damage on your base is really important. And so if your opponent is paying 2 resources to ready their turn 1 play, that is awesome. That's totally fine. If they want to do it again, that's awesome. But what usually ends up happening is if you play this on turn 1, you basically killed your opponent's unit. It saves you like at least 6 damage on your base, maybe more. And in this kind of in the same vein, we have Frozen in Carbonite here, and I kind of have this because of Chewbacca, the new Chewbacca unit, because there isn't really great ways, especially with this deck, to be able to deal with a Chewbacca unless you're able to get Invincible out. But a turn 2 Chewbacca, you just die. You just literally die. So Frozen Carbonite's in here for that. And it also happens to be a 3-cost card. So if you don't need it in the matchup you're in, you can just use Trench to discard it and get to whatever you want. And actually, in my current version, this list isn't exactly up to date, but I'm not actually using Clone anymore. I just have more Overwhelming Barrage in here instead of Clone. Clone was in here to go more all in for the Admiral Trench combo, but after further testing, I realized that it is not necessary. You don't need to try to combo that hard. So you don't need the Clone. You can just have more Overwhelming Barrage in here. Whew, this deck is wild. So we've also got Cobb Vanth in here. And it's because Cobb Vanth also helps us get to the combo because you can fish for Admiral Motti. And it's been really cool being able to do some wild plays where you play Cobb Vanth early and then eventually when you're ready to do some type of combo. Because like I said, you don't have to full combo. You can play Cobb Vanth and then you can exploit Cobb Vanth and some droids for a free Sand Hill. And then you get to bring out, you discard Motti from your deck, you bring out Motti for free, and then you exploit Motti for the Infiltrating Demolitioner or something. And then it readies Sand Hill, and then Sand Hill attacks, and then you get 4 resources back, and then you play another Cobb Vanth or something. Or maybe then you exploit, or you could instead of exploiting the Infiltrating Demolitioner, you can exploit to bring out Admiral Trench, and then Admiral Trench just returns the Motti back to your hand, so then you can do it the next turn with something else. It's pretty cool, and honestly, even when you just get going, like you're just playing the game, a lot of the times it's totally valid when you have like Cobb Vanth set up on like a 5 resource turn or something, like Cobb Vanth dies, you go and get Motti. And, you know, depending on how your opponent has played out, you can bring Motti out and then exploit it with Trench to play Trench for 5 and then have Motti ready Trench and then return Motti to your hand, and then you can attack your opponent for 5. And you have Motti in your hand to try to combo on the next turn. It's a really, really fun deck, but, you know, unfortunately, the meta will not allow this to actually, you know, compete super well in like a competitive field. We do have Invincible in here just because it's a good 5 resource play, and we don't have anything else really in space. Like, our other spaceships are really just exploit fodder. Like, it's really just for exploiting. So it's not that great, but it's something. Now, if we go back to this combo list over here, what's cool about Salvage, and why I think Salvage is more intended for Trench than Palpatine's Return, is because it can get the Separatist super tank. And so what's cool is, yeah, early on you can discard Separatist super tank if you need to fish for combo pieces. And if you have 1 or 2 salvages in your deck as well, then you can eventually, you know, you might even draw a salvage, and you can use that as your redundant combo piece to do like a Motti play and then play salvage to get the tank out. And because salvage costs 0 and the tank still has exploit on it and you're still playing the card, it still lets you use the exploit too. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. It's pretty difficult to play, but it's so cool. And one last thing I guess I'll say about it is the reprocess card is so sick in this, especially when I really do think you're probably supposed to play the 50 card version, because when you get your deck to the end, like if you've been alive to the end of your deck, reprocess just instantly gives you the combo. It full on gives you the infinite combo, because you probably have a Motti in your discard pile, you probably have a Sandhill, you probably have a Trench unit, and guess what? Reprocess lets you put all of them back in your deck and then gives you droids for each card you put back. So you put 4 cards back, you get 4 droids, and then the next turn you draw 2 cards, and boom, you probably have your combo based on whatever else is in your hand, and then you can just hit them in the base, and they can't have infinite removal, but it's pretty fun. So, do we have one more for you? We have one more list here. So here's the little bit of the sad reality here, right? Because we're talking about Trench and trying to make a Trench viable. Figure out the uses for Trench. Well, it turns out, especially if you're trying to do the combo, the Sandhill Motti Admiral Trench combo, Dooku is kind of actually just a better leader for it. And it's sad, but I mean, you could argue that the Trench leader lets you dig for the combo faster, and it also lets you kind of play the infinite game. Sure. But Dooku lets you play Invincible on the second turn of the game, which keeps you alive faster. It also can contest Chewbacca on spaceships, in addition to the Frozen in Carbonite. But also, it lets you can play Patrolling AT-AT out on turn 2 if you need to, against like a ground star from your opponent. And it also lets you exploit out the old invisible hand, like the first invisible hand. So on the 6 resource, it basically gives you your setup on the 7 resource, because if you get to on 6 to play invisible hand, which is itself a body, and then you get 4 other droids, that's literally everything you need on the board to start comboing the next turn. Because if you get to exploit all those units, kill them all, and then use Motti and Sandhill to ready and refresh all of your resources, you can just start going infinite then. And the other reason why you can start doing that too from a fresh board is because Dooku also lets you play a unit and give them 1 extra exploit, and that being able to give Admiral Trench exploit 2 is what actually fully enables you to just do that on the 7 resource without having an Admiral Trench already on your board. You can just do the invisible hand setup the turn before, and you can start doing a full combo on the Dooku flip turn. So that's kind of the sad reality for the Trench leader, but it's a cool leader. It's a cool leader. And if you've ever tried to explore this deck and you have some more insight that I could use, just leave it in the comments. Let me know. I'd love to hear it. If you've never even heard about this combo before, that's cool too. It's wild. It's pretty fun. And yeah. If you have had just other ideas of what to do with this leader, this Admiral Trench, let me know. I'm really curious if we can figure out a way to play him, because it's a very unique, very cool thing. I am a very value-oriented gamer. I don't know what it is, but something inside of me, I can't help but resist infinite value. So I'm going to keep trying, even though it's bad. But that's it. Thanks for watching the video. If you made it to the end here, leave a comment that says, I heard Bobby bark. And I'll catch you in the next video.